Hi, I'm Matthew Malcolm with California Dairy Magazine, and today at the Alfalfa and Forage Field Day at the Kearney Ag Center in Parlier, dairy and alfalfa producers were addressed by Pete Goodell, who discussed the increasing population of the blue alfalfa aphid, its impact on feed crops, and what producers can do to manage this pest.
I remind you that we have three common aphids in alfalfa. The one that's been giving us some heartburn recently is the blue alfalfa aphid. We really haven't seen much of that for widespread for a number of years. All four of these species are always present in the field. The last couple of years, the blue alfalfa aphid has been particularly bad across the state. It's a pest that can really damage and influence the growth and development of alfalfa. It's something that we've been able to control fairly well over the years with especially selection of resistant and tolerant varieties. But something in the last couple of years has happened that allowed the pest to get a little bit ahead of us. So in 2013 and 2014 we've seen increased pressure from the blue alfalfa aphid and has required a little bit more intervention with insecticides. The problem with the blue alfalfa aphid is it tends to occur around or just before the time when weevils appear. So generally we approach them both about the same time, and the compounds we use for one kind of work well for the other. For the blue alfalfa aphid, there's a real problem in the feeding by that aphid that causes a toxin to be injected into the plant, can influence later cuttings, up to 1 or 2 cuttings depending upon the severity of the feeding. In 2014 we saw a really early outbreak of the aphid. We saw it as early as mid-January, which is fairly early winter. And I think this has to do with the fact that we've been having several dry winters in a row, warm winters. We've been having, I think, less winter mortality, and the aphid has just gotten an earlier start of it. The real challenge we have with this particular aphid is you've got to get it early, you've got to find it early, and you've got to be able to manage it. And what we're faced with as alfalfa producers is we do not have quite the selection of insecticides that are effective against aphids and selective for aphids as a lot of other commodities do. So we're really limited to some key organophosphates such as dimethoate and chlorpyrifos or lorsban. And these are products that work well against aphid, and we really need to make sure they're available to us into the future. These products, of course, these AIs, of course, are under some scrutiny by the public and by the regulators, both federal and local. And so we need to make sure that we're using them in the most appropriate and efficient manner. That is to say, treat only when we know it's a real problem out there. So it requires us to inspect our fields closely and then evaluate them with a good threshold. But we definitely have to catch them early, and if we do treat, we need to be able to have the materials available. There's going to be a lot more we're going to hear in the next few months about chlorpyrifos, or the most common product, lorsban. There's issues that the public is very concerned about relative to environmental as well as human health issues, and so we as alfalfa producers will need to be able to describe very accurately how these active ingredients are necessary to us and how we are stewarding and using them in the most effective manner possible. I expect you'll be hearing more about this, but to put everybody on kind of an alert, we're going to really need the industry's support in being able to utilize best management practices and best IPM practices to ensure we do both good insect management and good management of the chemistries.
Thanks, Pete. Let us be diligent in managing our pest issues for the most effective results and continued success in the future. Learn more about keeping your alfalfa crops healthy by watching other reports like this on the California AgNet YouTube channel and by reading California Dairy Magazine. I'm Matthew Malcolm, CaliforniaAgNet.com.